There once was a young man named Marco, who felt as though his mind was a raging storm. At just 24, he was constantly adrift in a sea of thoughts. Worries about the future and regrets about the past were his constant companions, stealing his sleep and leaving him with a deep sense of sadness. He believed that peace was something to be found, like a hidden treasure, somewhere out in the world. He searched in bustling cities and quiet towns, but the storm within him never calmed. Hearing tales of a wise old man who lived deep in the mountains, Marco embarked on a long and arduous journey. He hoped this man, a former psychologist who had traded city life for nature's embrace, held the key to his happiness. After days of travel, he finally found the old man sitting peacefully outside a small, rustic cabin. Panting, Marco poured out his heart, describing the relentless noise in his head and his desperate search for tranquility. The wise man listened patiently, his eyes kind and understanding. He didn't offer a grand speech or a complex solution. Instead, he simply handed Marco a glass of water filled to the very brim. "Your task is this," he said calmly. "Walk to the end of that path and back without spilling a single drop." Marco looked at the path, which wound through the trees, and then at the precarious glass. It seemed like a strange request, but he was desperate, so he agreed. He began to walk, his entire focus fixed on the glass. He kept his balance, his eyes locked on the shimmering surface of the water. He didn't notice the dogs barking in the distance, nor did he see the children laughing and playing nearby. Every part of his being was dedicated to this one simple task. Don't spill the water. When he returned to the old man, not a single drop had been lost. He felt a strange sense of calm he hadn't experienced in years. "Did you hear the dogs?" the wise man asked. Marco shook his head. "Did you see the children playing?" "No," Marco replied, confused. The old man smiled gently. "That is because your mind was completely focused on one thing, the glass of water. It was fully in the present moment. The glass represents the now. When you hold it with your full attention, there is no room for anything else," he continued. "The suffering you feel comes from your mind wandering into the past, which you cannot change, or into the future, which you cannot control. But the present moment, this very second, is real. It is your only point of power." Marco stood silently, the simple truth of the old man's words washing over him. The chaos in his mind wasn't a storm to be weathered, but a choice he was making. "Peace is not a place you find," the wise man concluded. "It is a state you create. It requires practice, just like you practice focus with the glass of water. When your mind stays in the present, there is no space for fear or confusion." In that moment, Marco understood. He didn't need to travel the world to find peace. He just needed to travel back to the present moment. He returned to his village not as the restless, unhappy man who had left, but as someone who had finally learned how to calm the storm within. The journey to inner peace is not about changing our circumstances, but about changing our focus. By bringing our attention to the here and now, we can find the quiet strength that has been inside us all along. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content to help you on your journey. See you next time.